In 2024, the Boston Red Sox had the 5th most expensive tickets in baseball. We're ranked 23rd in how much of that revenue they actually spent on the team. And their owner, John Henry, is worth $5.7 billion. So how do fans feel going into the new season? I'm here at the historic Fenway Park to ask them.
They're trying to expand their ownership instead of focusing on the historic Red Sox.
It's blatant that they're doing it for money, and that's kind of gross.
It makes fans even more agitated.
It's really frustrating because I feel like we have a really young team, and if they just put a little bit more money into it, they could be great.
How did we get to this point? I'm going to dig into the history of the Red Sox and their owner, Fenway Sports Group, a private equity-backed holding company run by John Henry. Diving into the business of the Boston Red Sox can give you a hint as to how baseball went from something fun and simple to do with your friends in the summer to something much more resembling a Wall Street asset class, with a design to extract as much money from fans as possible.
There you are.
When John Henry bought the Red Sox in 2002, the franchise was not just cursed, but extremely outdated. I was 7 years old, living a 30-minute walk from Fenway Park. I was the kid who collected all the baseball cards, the free newspaper posters, and had all of the t-shirts. And when you're from the city, being a Red Sox fan felt like a family inheritance, something everyone around you carried. The heartbreak, the jokes, the hope that maybe this year would be different. Fenway Park was iconic, but parts of the organization still operated like it was decades earlier. Front offices were small, analytics barely existed, and decisions were driven mostly by instinct, relationships, and gut calls. Enter John Henry.
It's the best, isn't it?
Henry came from a completely different world. Before owning the Red Sox, he was a commodities trader, starting his career by trading on the future of corn and soybeans. Most baseball owners at the time were local businessmen or inherited wealth. George Steinbrenner was a shipping magnate. Artie Moreno was a billboard advertising billionaire. Henry's worldview was built on probabilities, inefficiencies, and market edges. And when he arrived in Boston, he brought that mindset with him. Henry didn't want to just buy stars, but build a factory. He tried to hire Billy Beane, the Oakland A's general manager of Moneyball fame. And when he couldn't, he hired Theo Epstein to implement those same data-driven principles with a massive payroll. Epstein blended the two philosophies that baseball had always treated as opposites: old school scouting and data-driven analysis.
Why don't you welcome the general manager of the Red Sox, Theo Epstein.
We're one of the only teams in Major League Baseball that has come in a little bit under budget to provide us the flexibility to step up and go get one of those pitchers.
The goal was to both identify undervalued players, build depth, and still deploy massive financial resources when it mattered. One of the clearest examples came in 2004. At the time, Nomar Garciaparra was the face of the franchise.
Drafted by the Red Sox up through the minor leagues, an all-star player.
A superstar, an icon, a fan favorite. But the Red Sox front office saw something that fans didn't. Nomar had only played 38 games that season because of injuries. The team's defense was struggling, and their analytics suggested the roster needed range and stability more than another star bat. So they made a move that shocked Boston. They traded Nomar and got two defensive specialists, Orlando Cabrera and Doug Minkiewicz, that made the team deeper and more versatile. It was a cold move, but it was data-driven genius.
What the Red Sox have tried to do by dealing one of their prize chips is improve their defense, which has been terrible through the first part of this season.
The moment sent a message to the rest of the baseball world. Emotion would not run the Boston Red Sox. Process did.
It's very, very difficult to see him go, but in the end, we made an assessment of what it's going to take to try to win a World Series.
At the time, many fans were furious. Nomar wasn't just a good player. He was the face of the franchise, a Rookie of the Year, a batting champion. My first baseball bat had Nomar's face on it, one of the most popular athletes in all of Boston. Trading him in the middle of the playoff race felt like almost unthinkable. Sports radio lit up, columnists questioned it, but inside the front office, the move reflected a new philosophy. The goal wasn't just to collect stars, but to build the most complete roster possible, even if that meant making decisions that felt emotionally brutal in the moment. But then,
The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Boston won the World Series a few months later, breaking the curse. Now, the Nomar trade became something else entirely. Proof that the system worked. For the next 15 years, the Red Sox were the gold standard. They won in 2004, 2007, 2013, and 2018. Unlike the cheap Oakland Athletics, the Red Sox used data to fund undervalued players like David Ortiz while still paying for elite talent like Manny Ramirez and Pedro Martinez. In 2004, the Red Sox payroll was more than double Oakland's. The A's discovered the strategy, but the Red Sox scaled it. They didn't need to choose between brains and money because they had both, and it changed the sport completely. Suddenly, the smartest team in baseball was also one of the richest. But soon, other teams started copying the formula. And while baseball used to revolve around the simple question of how do we build the best team, it soon became a slightly different one. How do we build the best team for the price?
It's been art for 100 years, and it's only been since the introduction of what some called Moneyball, where it's become more science, and we're sort of on the more science side.
As efficiency became the main goal, every decision started to become a calculation. All of this made owners realize something powerful. You didn't need to spend wildly to win. You just needed to be the smartest spender. For years, that system worked. The Red Sox won 4 championships between 2004 and 2018. They were one of the most successful organizations in all of professional sports. And the negative feelings about the Nomar trade had long passed into the rear view mirror. But then another controversial trade in 2020 hit even harder. The Red Sox traded Mookie Betts. Betts was a homegrown star, an MVP, one of the best players in all of baseball.
I want to say thank you for everything.
Mookie Betts, everybody, the MVP!
A cornerstone talent entering his prime.
I had initially thought that I was going to be a Red Sox for life.
The newest member of the Dodgers, Mookie Betts. What's your reaction?
I mean, it sounds kind of weird, you know. I'd been in Boston so much in my life.
And the explanation wasn't about rebuilding, but about flexibility, about managing long-term payroll risk.
Some of you, no doubt, felt the same way in 2004 when we traded Nomar, who, like Mookie, was a hugely popular homegrown player.
For fans, this felt like a regression away from what had made the team so successful for nearly 2 decades, and it forced people to ask a different question. What were the Red Sox really trying to optimize for now? After 2004, John Henry had his sights on turning the Red Sox into the cornerstone of a global sports conglomerate. The real turning point came in 2010, when Fenway Sports Group bought Liverpool Football Club.
We are champions of England and champions of Europe. Been a part of it is the capstone of my career, and I think all of Fenway Sports Group.
Suddenly, the ambition became clear. The history of Liverpool echoed a lot of history of the Red Sox. One of the biggest sports brands on earth, a global fan base, massive media rights, an historic stadium based in a city with a devoted local fan base. Once that happened, Fenway Sports Group stopped operating like a local owner and much more like a Wall Street portfolio manager. The logic changed. Instead of thinking about one team, they started thinking about systems, shared analytics philosophies, performance science, sponsor relationships, commercial partnerships across teams, cross-promotion. The Red Sox were still important, but now they were part of a larger network. Henry told The Guardian that he knew essentially nothing about Liverpool, but he saw an opportunity to apply a similar strategy as he had to the Red Sox. And then, in 2019, MLB quietly made a rule change that allowed Fenway Sports Group to fully embrace their financial transformation. For the first time ever, the league allowed private equity firms to buy stakes in teams. Sports leagues are entering a new economic era where old money is weakening. Streaming, fragmented audiences, operating costs continue rising, player salaries grew, and stadium upgrades became more expensive. Owners needed more money, and private equity was ready. After the 2019 rule change, Fenway Sports Group sold minority stakes to 2 major investment firms, Arctus Sports Partners and Redbird Capital. Neither firm took control of the team, but control wasn't the point. Influence was. When private equity enters an industry, the questions start to change. It's no longer, how do we win a championship? It becomes, how do we grow valuation?
Part of my role is to make sure that we continue to maintain access to capital, fortify the balance sheet so that we can go and seek out that new team in an existing league. We are in growth mode.
Sports teams start behaving less like hometown institutions and more like appreciating financial assets. Henry explained it like this in a 2024 interview with the Financial Times. Because fans expect championships almost annually, they easily become frustrated and are not going to buy into what the odds actually are, 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. The founder of Arctos put it like this: if teams want our help reimagining the fan experience, the venue, or sponsorship strategy, we'll help. But our job is to serve the owners we partner with. They say they don't help run the team, that they just help maximize the run of the business. But that's exactly the point, because once that mindset enters sports, it changes the culture of ownership.
Breaking news coming down late Wednesday. Alex Bregman has signed a 3-year, $120 million deal with the Boston Red Sox.
When the Red Sox acquired Alex Bregman, it looked like exactly the kind of move fans had been begging for. He was a proven star, a championship player, and he was a signal that the team still intended to compete with the Dodgers and Yankees.
Definitely looking forward to a good year this year here in Boston, and I can't say enough good things about my teammates, the coaches here, the organization. Just looking forward to continuing to keep it going.
When the Red Sox signed him, John Henry's wife posted a photo of him smoking a victory cigar. They signed him to a flexible deal that paid him $40 million a year, but allowed him to become a free agent again after 1 season. Bregman was largely successful in Boston. Players and coaches said he changed the culture of the clubhouse.
Being with him last year, learning from him and the way that he transforms a clubhouse.
He was an extra coach for both pitchers and hitters, and he set a tone that young stars like Roman Anthony said changed his day-to-day approach at the ballpark.
You mentioned Alex Bregman. He's like a coach in there right now. He's such a great baseball brain.
Bregman was practically begging the team to stay before the end of the season. But when negotiations got serious, the deal stalled because the Red Sox would not match the money at the top of the market, and they wouldn't give Bregman a no-trade clause, a sign of commitment to the player. So why didn't the Red Sox want to make a promise to keep a very talented player on their team? Clearly, it must have been because they couldn't afford him, right? Nope. You gotta remember, they're one of the richest teams in all of baseball. The real reason is just another example of Wall Street Moneyball thinking. They wanted to minimize long-term risks that would come with committing to Bregman and reducing their financial flexibility. Instead, Bregman signed with the Chicago Cubs. Red Sox fans were furious at the decision.
I think they had every chance to keep Alex Bregman here.
But John Henry wasn't there to explain it. He hasn't spoken to the media since the Mookie Betts trade in 2020. Instead, when asked about the decision, Red Sox president Sam Kennedy said,
"Look, if Alex Bregman wanted to be here, ultimately he'd be here."
But this is where the modern version of Moneyball has led.
What is more important to John Henry, a salary cap for winning a World Series, a salary cap by 1,000?
When efficiency becomes the guiding principle, flexibility becomes sacred. Players are treated as financial assets. And the worst outcome isn't losing a star, but being stuck with a bad asset, a bad contract.
Finding value is ultimately what they were trying to do on Wall Street and we were trying to do in baseball.
That mindset makes sense in a spreadsheet, but fans experience it differently. Because the same logic that helped the Red Sox build championship teams is now the logic that keeps them from committing to players.
We cannot shy away from tough decisions required to aggressively compete for World Series.
And once outside investors enter that picture, that pressure only grows. Private equity isn't measuring success the way fans do. They're measuring valuation growth, margin stability, predictable revenue. A risky contract is not just a baseball decision anymore, but a financial one. So when Bregman leaves, fans don't just see a roster move, but the confirmation of something deeper.
Throwing Alex Bregman under the bus is just stupid. I don't think he expected this reaction from the fan base.
The team they love is no longer being run like a baseball team, but like a Fortune 500 company.
As long as the growth opportunities fit our overarching criteria, which are blue chip in nature, and we feel that the Fenway Sports Group can be additive and create more value, it's something we'll look at.
And that's why so many Red Sox fans have started saying the same thing.
I think John Henry needs to sell the team and let someone else take over.
If you want to focus on your other ventures, fair enough. You know, you have big other ventures, but put up or, you know, get out in a way.
So what does the story of the Red Sox actually tell us about sports today? Sports is becoming a product where the more you love it, the more it costs to keep up. And that's not an accident. It's the result of the forces that transform the Red Sox. Optimization, global expansion, financialization. What private equity has already done to industries like housing, healthcare, and retail is happening again, only now to our favorite teams. It's why the experience of being a sports fan is changing right now. More expensive tickets, more money to watch your favorite teams, more ads, more gambling sponsors, more premium sections in stadiums. It's a system designed to extract as much value as possible from the people who care the most.
I think it's kind of BS that, you know, we're putting off Boston's most historical sports teams for, you know, Liverpool soccer.
They always say, like, oh, baseball is a business after all. You know, sometimes you wish it wasn't.
You got Disney World right here that's printing money. I fall for it. I'm going to give them money. I'm an idiot.
And players are starting to notice because while franchise values keep exploding, teams are becoming more cautious about spending on the people who actually play the game.
They'll trade Mookie Betts. They'll trade you. So if I don't want to get traded, I would like some no trade protection.
Which is why many people around baseball believe that the next collective bargaining fight won't just be about salaries, but the entire business of the sport. As we're wrapping up this video, I spoke to Sam Kennedy, the CEO of Fenway Sports Group. I asked Sam if private equity has had any effect on how FSG runs the Red Sox, and he said zero impact on operations, zero. Thanks for watching. We're always looking to tell more sports stories like this one. What other topics do you want to see us cover? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.